interviewed plenty of time because she lost a son. It may not have been through the school shooting, but she lost a son in gun violence, and that's what we're talking about right now. Welcome to Newsbreak. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Mm, I, I guess I could be better.
Mhm.
First of all, I want you to introduce yourself and talk to the people about your story, about what happened to you.
Okay, I'm Precious Jones. My 20-year-old son, Preston Jones, was murdered due to gun violence in his sleep. June 17th of 2022, my 19-year-old nephew, Corey Blackwell, was murdered in a car at a store. Gun violence. My brother, Paul Jones, was a victim, a survivor of gun violence. He was shot over 27 times. The
Mm.
doctor stopped counting in 2020, 2019. And in 2019, my children's father was murdered due to gun violence at his place of business, his auto body shop. So gun violence has been just all around in my life, showing up and of course not wanted, but it's been there. So with
Mm.
all the tragedies, I've created a non-for-profit organization called Breaking Generational Poverty, and
Okay.
it stands against gun violence. What we do is basically we're in a community, not just in one state. We're going all around to get mothers together,
Mhm.
to get fathers together, siblings together, just families together, so that we can end gun violence and approaching these issues in
Mhm.
every which way. So we
Let
do.
me
Mhm.
let me ask you this: what is the key stopping the gun violence across the schools across the country? It seems like every other day there's a school shooting taking place across the country. The president wants a tougher bill to be out there, but it seems like the Republicans are saying, no, you're taking the rights away from us. You're taking our guns away. But what is the solution of trying to get the guns out of the schools?
The first step, for the first thing that I believe, is for everybody to see that we are in a pandemic and an epidemic with gun violence.
Mhm.
This isn't a state of emergency. And I feel that until everyone understands that, we're going to keep on tuggling this back and forth, while innocent children are dying because
Mhm.
people are not understanding. So, if it hasn't come to their house or into their home, they won't understand it. And sad to say, but until it affects them directly in their home, then they'll understand what parents like myself and other parents that sent, parents that sent their kids to school to learn,
Mhm.
and their kids didn't come back. We are in a epidemic and a pandemic.
Talk,
And
talk to us about what's going on through your head when you hear about Vegas shooting. What was going on through your head? Are you saying to yourself, here it goes again, another school shooting? Whether it was a university, middle school, high school, doesn't matter. It's school, it's a school. What's going on through your head when
what
you
goes on through my
hear
head
about
is
school?
that it makes me angry, and it makes me feel that I need to do more. I need to get more people involved, and that this is a bigger fight. And I'm determined to make a huge impact in ending gun violence. Um,
Mm.
when I see a mass shooting or any shooting, it breaks my heart for the people, the victims' families, leaving out the door, going to go do their regular, daily activities, work, school, exercise, whatever it is that they're going to go do, and, not coming back home. That's not fair, and I just feel that it makes me angry, and it just, it gives me the urge to know that my work is nowhere near complete, that this is just the beginning, and that I have to put my all, like I've been doing, into this work and into this mission, because again, we are in a pandemic and an epidemic and a crisis with gun violence.
You talk about this is a state of emergency.
Mhm.
Most people will say this is not a state of emergency. But as a parent, for you, what make you say it's a state of emergency? I mean, because I agree, it's been a state of emergency. But for you, why do you say it's a state of emergency?
It is a state of emergency anytime that we cannot control what's going on in our neighborhoods. It is a state of emergency anytime you have innocent children, innocent community members, innocent elderly people losing their lives every second to gun violence. It is a state of emergency when you have youth that are able to get machine guns, guns that are designed to be in our U.S. Army or navies, but they are roaming through our streets. It is a state of emergency where you are going into the hospitals because people are getting shot and killed or shot and their bodies are all dismantled by high rifle machine guns or, all these explosives. That is a state of emergency. And no one has any control over it, and it is out of hand. And again, we cannot get the legislators all together on board to see that this is not about color, this is not about gender, this is strictly about what we are facing, and it's a crisis. Just like how COVID was a crisis, this
Mhm.
is a crisis. The same way that the world stuck together to get rid of COVID, it's the same thing that we need to do to get rid of the gun violence, or else we will have a few generations that will never make it to see an elderly age.
I want to talk to you about this too. The president continued to talk about getting tougher bills, but I don't see no one doing anything about it. I see the president talking about it, but I don't see him doing anything about it. Let's also talk about with the war going on across the world, and United States is focusing on that. Some people may say something like, "Well, why is it that the United States not focusing on the gun balance? If the United States can spend billions and billions of dollars overseas to other countries, why they can't spend billions of dollars to stop the gun balance?"
Exactly. I definitely agree with that. I definitely feel that the president, he needs to come to some of these areas and spend a week in some of these areas that's very high with gun violence, these
Mhm.
poverty areas. Come and spend a week without all of your security and your entire entourage, and spend a week as a regular citizen, and then you will see why we are crying out for help. The Republicans that feel that this is not a crisis, come to the areas for a week and stay in those areas for a week without
Mhm.
all of your entourage and security, and then you will understand the cry of the families that is saying that we need help. A lot of people don't have the resources or funds to go out into their homes in the suburban areas or
Mhm.
the country where you can go hunting and where these guns are, where you can use these guns. We are in city limit streets where there is
Mhm.
no deers, there are no fields to hunt. Why do we need all of this artillery? So I feel
Mhm.
that they need to come to those areas and maybe stay in those areas for even 30 days so that they will understand it, because if they're not there, it does not affect them. They can go elsewhere where they're not affected, so they don't understand it. And for us sending billions of dollars overseas, send billions of dollars here to incorporate some resources for our youth, to incorporate
Mhm.
jobs, training, schooling, and getting people out of poverty. If you put $1 billion, a couple of $1 billion in our high poverty areas, you can afford to pull out many families out of poverty, and
Mhm.
helping parents out of poverty will be able to loosen, their schedule so that they're not underworked with these jobs, and they can be there for their children, to help, because parents need help. A lot of parents are overworked, underpaid. They see that their child or their children maybe, in a crisis, a gun violence crisis,
Mhm.
but they have to pick and choose. Do I take off, and lose my job so that I can get my child together, or do I go to work so that I can, pay the bills while I just hope and pray that my child is doing what they need to do. I posed the law that I believe that that parents, caretakers, and guardians, there should be a leave, a paid protected leave, a paid protected job leave that will allow parents or caretakers or guardians to take off and their job be protected when their kid is in, any type of gun violence crisis. So that way that parent can do what they need to do to get the kid the help that they need to get. Because right now everything is just out of whack. And it starts at home.
Right, right. But I tell you what, thank you so much for taking out your time talking to us here at Channel 49 News Break. You can check out the full, if you get a chance to check out the interview, you definitely can check out the full interview on YouTube. There's going to be a link down on the bottom and where you can check out the full interview. Again, thank you so much for taking out your busy schedule and talking to us. We'll have a lot more coming up right here. You tune in to Daily News Break, where we have stories that no one else talk about. Thank you.
Thank you.